Join me. Together we can rule the galaxy far from sun.
I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
This is getting out of hand. Now there are two of them.
Hello there, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses. This is Todd Hoffman and Trent Hoffman. You're listening to Big T and Little T, a Star Wars podcast. Welcome to episode 166. Today, we're going to be talking about The Bad Batch Season 3. We got 3 episodes, so we got to get right to it. Unfortunately, my little buddy in crime, Little T, couldn't be here, but we will definitely have him back here soon. We're going to kind of a weekly format here with Bad Batch and get some quick episodes out and quick hot takes about this season. So we had a slightly delayed but still fun event. We had Trent's birthday party this weekend, which was fun with his friends, and just had a really good time. And it was great. We went to Urban Air, which is like a trampoline place, and just had a really fun time. And it was good to connect with his friends, and he even got a Mandalorian Nerf shooter, which was super cool. So I'll have to talk about that next time he's on. But yeah, we had a great time. Busy weekend and just a lot of fun. But here we are wrapping up this week, going already into next week for season 3, but episode 4 already. Can't believe we got 3. And this is our first new Star Wars for 2024, and super exciting. I really liked the pace of these episodes, and we're not going to go by them beat by beat because you've seen them, you know what they are, but just really broad strokes on these things. So the first one is Confined. And so this one really reminded Trent and I of Andor. And when Andor was in prison, we get a really cool element here with Omega being stuck in somewhat of a prison state with her Dr. Hemlock. Well, he's not a she. Dr. Hemlock, her clone sister, Emery Carr. And obviously just Omega is downtrodden, and we get to see a little bit of him in this episode. But we're just calling a theme here. It's the power of the Stuffie, and we're going to get into that a little bit. But so we have this kind of cool transition where we see a couple ticks on she's carving into the stone as she looks outside. And this was in the trailer too, but basically she is counting down the days, and Trent and I paused it about like 21 days or 22 days, something like that. But then the next time we get a flash, and then she's kind of aged a little bit, her hair's longer, and I think Trent and I count about 220 days or something like that. So almost a full year she's been in there, and so it's been a long time. And you could just see kind of a thing with isolation similar to COVID. We're not in a good space when we're alone. Every once in a while, it is good to get alone and be with your thoughts. And obviously, if you're doing the Jedi thing, you got to get alone and do that thing. And that is all important. But when it becomes the routine, that's where it gets a little crazy. But essentially, you understand that she's pretty much like a hostage, and she's going through the same motions every day. A lot of heavy security. She gets renewed. We get to see the clone, or the Camino cloner, Nala Se, I think. And every time she takes a sample from Omega, she discards it. But there's this basically a centrifuge that's trying and putting something into the blood. We don't know what it is, but basically that happens every time. And Nala Se discards her blood. So that's going on. She reaches out to Crosshair every once in a while, and Crosshair's like, leave me alone. He's got a little bit of the shakes with his hands, but they're doing something with the testing. And then she makes friends with a pet Lurka, a Batcher, or something like that. And during this time, you can see that she grabs this kind of straw, and she basically creates her own little doll, which is super awesome. But then she gets bum rushed by some Republic commandos, and they search her belongings, and they take her stuff. They take the little doll. I'm like, oh man. So then her friend Batcher, who's like the little dog thing, he's got a little cut, and this really cool droid. I think in Wikipedia they're called a K9X1. Super cool, but he's like, yeah, we're just gonna terminate him because this dog has a wound or something, and she gets a drop on him and just basically frees Batcher, which is super interesting. But is it in this episode? She's upset or whatever, but then she frees Batcher and all that fun stuff, and Omega and Hemlock kind of finds her, and just kind of stands up to her, but then she just kind of they have a little standing, and Hemlock's not really having it. But at the end, she gets the straw doll back from her clone sister car, which is kind of cool. And essentially what Hemlock is saying, like, restrict her access and do all that kind of fun stuff. But yeah, which was kind of cool. That car returned the doll. But then Omega hears Batcher howling in the distance, and Batcher rumbles through the wreckage of the crushed shuttle that was out there. So we know that there's wildlife and everything, and where Mount Tannis is, it's pretty dense and jungled, and yeah, so there were some bad things that happened to the shuttle, and essentially the wildlife got them. Dun dun dun. But that shuttle comes into play pretty soon here, so it was kind of foreshadowing of what's going to happen. So that's combined. Very cool, good setting. You could tell again the time thing and the monotony of going back and forth. But man, the doll was a nice little touch to the thing. Okay, here we go. Next one, Paths Unknown. So this kind of switches gear, which kind of makes sense. So the first one's kind of about Omega. This one is more about Wrecker and Hunter. I almost said Snake because he's kind of like Solid Snake, man. Hunter got those vibes. So Hunter and Wrecker essentially are on Deveron, I believe, because there's Deveronians, and this is some kind of lady of the house or mother lady. I'm not really sure, but they get a drop on a pike, get the pike up, who essentially cut off a horn of a Deveronian, one of the main guys, and they get information on some coordinates for the last time the Empire had this cloning facility or laboratory. So they go to the jungle, welcome to the jungle, and they land the Havoc Marauder, and they go to investigate, and they come up on some clones that are, I guess you would say they're cadets, so it's Deacon Stack, I believe, and then they talk about these creeper vines, which have a very High Republic vibe. If you're into High Republic, the Denner Jin or Dengarin or something like that. Yeah, they have these kind of living trees in the High Republic, and so they get this kind of vibe, and then they meet up with another clone, Mox or something like that, and basically said that they didn't know about Omega, but there's definitely some secret things going on, and they basically bombarded this laboratory and got everybody out, but they left this kind of creeper vine or something kind of vine. They're bioengineering this, and but they said, hey, we got a panel. They grabbed Gonky, and Gonk, they come and essentially go down, and Gonky and Wrecker and Hunter with one of the cadets goes down there. I believe it's Deke, and Deke's like, hey, we got a panel over there. The other two break into the Marauder and then the power of the Stuffie. They see that Omega has this little room with their little Stuffies, and so at that point they realize, hey, these guys take care of each other. Unlike other clones or other Imperials, these guys are really in it to the end, and so they decide to rescue Wrecker, Deke, and Hunter. And it turns out this thing is like a super slimy Sarlacc pit, which was kind of cool. And then they had these creepy little Trent calling facehuggers. Obviously he hasn't seen aliens, but he knows what they are, and he's like, dude, these are like aliens. And so we had a little creepy little thing going on with this one, but they're able to prevail, drop a bunch of explosives into this kind of Sarlacc looking thing, and they basically get out of there. It's kind of sticky, and they mention Pabu, which is that nice little island that the clones visited, and so that's where they're going to drop them off and basically kind of start a new life for the cadets, which was kind of cool. And then obviously the camera focuses right on Omega's Tuca doll, so that is super cool. Again, I'm telling you, Stuffies are everything, man. And then the third episode, Shadows of Tantus. This one's super cool. I really enjoyed this one. Pretty simple. Omega and Crosshair have to get out of here, man. And that's basically what's happened in this episode. Essentially, Palpatine makes a surprise visit to see Hemlock. And Nala Se essentially says, look, your blood, I've been discarding it because I know it will probably work in what they're trying to do. And so what we find out is the M count. Yes, midichlorians come back, baby. And now this is actually happening in Star Wars with it's just fun. It's just fun. This is cool. So this kind of all connects a lot of different story points. So we have Battlefront 2 with Operation Cinderpoint, where you get these kind of robot clones of the Emperor. You got everything that was said in Mandalorian, which is where they talk about Project Necromancer, which Moff Gideon is actually going rogue and doing it on himself and not focusing on the Emperor, which is interesting. And we kind of know it works because Snoke, if all indications are pointing that way, Snoke is successful. So we believe at this point Snoke is a clone of the Emperor, but still not totally 100% confirmed. But obviously the Emperor is somewhat alive in the Rise of Skywalker. So very cool. So essentially less is more in this episode where Hemlock, they visited the the Emperor mentions Project Necromancer, so we know that's in play, but they don't show anything. And we realize that yes, you can clone anybody, but the Force is not clonable, and that's what they're trying to figure out or isolate to inject into these clones with the clone buddy. And during this whole episode, we see the centrifuge going around because now Namaste had to go with Hemlock, and what's her face, Car, clone sister, whatever, took actually Omega sample, and that is what is going around in the centrifuge and injecting this kind of M count to the blood. So we have that all kind of going on. It's kind of crazy. So that's happening, and now Omega essentially is like, okay, I'm going to get out of here. And Namlase is like, get out of here because she's taken away. So Omega grabs a kind of data pad, and now she is trying to get out. She doesn't know who is here, but it all kind of comes together. So the Emperor makes a visit. He looks great, and now Omega frees Crosshair, essentially grabs one of the stormtroopers. They get out of here, bada bing, bada boom. They get out of the first kind of cell for Crosshair, but now they realize everything's locked down because the Emperor's there and there's no real out. But Omega remembers there was a downed shuttle outside the perimeter. So this is what happens next, is that they need to get out. So then she's like, we can get out of the pens, which is great. So they make their way to the pens and about to get out, and they confiscate another K9X1 droid and get him done. And they're going to use Batcher's pen to escape, and that's when Carr confronts them and says, I'm doing this for your own good, calls in the cavalry. They stun Carr, get out of there, and then they basically try to shut down the cage, and they have these kind of energy locks, or I don't know, something like that. And so she's just like, we got to get out of there. And they get out of there. They run towards the shuttle. And then Hemlock, this is right when everything's kind of going down, or the Emperor's leaving. The Hemlock's trying to basically make a move and say, hey, I can be the Minister of Science or something like that to oversee everything. And Emperor's like, slowly roll, it's going to happen, but I give you everything you need to make sure you can get this done. This is the most important thing, which is great. So Omega and Crosshair avoid the ray shielding. They kind of go on a manhunt, and they get to the shuttle. They get everything taken care of, and then our boy, what's his name? Batcher? Yeah, the little dog thing, comes back, takes care of some troops as they try to escape, which is great. And then they bring Batcher onto the ship, and now they got V interceptors or something like that are chasing after them. And now at this point, the centrifuge stops on Omega's blood, and we get a positive match. So now they're in hot pursuit, and the shuttle took a hit, but it doesn't look like they're gonna make it, and they might have to abort this whole thing. And as that's happening, Hemlock gets the word from Carr that her sample has a positive M count transfer, and he calls off the V-Wings and lets Omega and Crosshair escape, because even though it's a setback, he has full resources of the Empire. So there you have it, man. That is the Shadow of Tanis. I really enjoyed this one because it's, again, showing the Emperor has a long game, and that's super cool. Trent and I really enjoyed seeing the Emperor and all that fun stuff. So lot there, lot to unpack. There is, obviously, we got quite a few more. So here are the different titles for the next week. So the 28th, we got Different Approach, The Return, Infiltration, Extraction, Bad Territory, The Harbinger, Identity Crisis, Point of No Return, Juggernaut, Into the Breach, Flash Strike, and then finally the Cavalry has arrived on May 1st, 2024. So that is super cool. A lot of titles, could be misleading, but I'm interested to see what the Cavalry has arrived. What does that mean? But really, for these 3 episodes, the power of Stuffie, man. I think that's kind of cool that the Stuffies ruled. Trent and I really like that. Trent loves his Stuffies, and it just shows that you have humanity when you got a Stuffie, my friend. So don't be afraid of those Stuffies. So anyways, So for our Light It Up All section here, or Light It All Up section, please email us at bigtlittlepodcast@gmail.com. What do you want to get answered in Bad Batch Season 3? What do you want to get answered in Bad Batch Season 3? So email us at bigtlittlepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to read your answers on an upcoming episode and talk through them. So that'd be really cool. All right, well, Space Wizards, Plastic Spacemen, and Rebel Princesses, that's another official episode of Big T and Little T. You can find us on the socials, Big T, Little T Podcast on Instagram, BLILT Podcast on Twitter, and then twitch.tv/Big T, Little T. We love going on Twitch, playing some Fortnite or whatever games we want to play, and just love hanging out. So please do that, and we'd love to chat with you as we play games. Hey, we want to hear from you, so comment, tweet, rate us at Apple Podcasts, or give us a 5-star rating on Spotify. You can again email us at bigtlittlepodcast@gmail.com, or drop us a question or give us a rating. Either one, we want to send stickers your way. Next time, more Bad Batch. So we're going to be in a Bad Batch cycle here for a little bit, but that's okay. Super fun, new fresh Star Wars every week, which is also always exciting. Now remember, truly wonderful the mind of the child is, and may the Force be with you always. Bye. See you later. Bye, 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 bye.
Dad, look at the droid selling queso.
It's not polite to talk about others like that.
It's okay, kids. What are the chances he's gonna hear us?
It's high. It's very high. Don't worry. You can make up for your embarrassment by procuring some of my queso. It has flavor.
Only K2's Mucho Queso is made from a blend of Bantha and Thala siren milks.
Here, ingest this.
Ew, it stinks.
I could say the same to you.
What?
This is so good.
Congratulations. Your taste buds are being rescued.
Daddy, let's buy it.
Your behavior, young lady, is continually unexpected.
Rebels will love the home-style meltiness of K2's Mucho Queso. The Empire? Well, Marva said it best.
Let's get going, kids.
Try K2's Mucho Queso. You'll love it. Cassian said you had to.
Hello there, spacemen. Hello there, space wizards and playtest spacemen.